Hello, today I'm making a video on a really strange machine that I picked up and I'm going to have for sale on eBay soon. This is actually it's labeled a GTE exec set, but I think GTE was probably OEMing these machines from Compaq because I've found buried somewhere in here a model number. I'll have to flip the machine back over. I think it's up in here. But it said it's a Compaq TC2500 telecomputer. Can't find much information on this guy on the internet. All that I've able to find is that I think there's a website out of Canada that says it's registered as an Alex telecomputer. I don't really know exactly what that means, but I went ahead and started by taking it apart, and it just has a massive, massive motherboard in the bottom of it. Years ago, when I first got this guy, it occurred to me after I looked at the board that it was actually a Compaq. I can't find the CPU. I actually think it's underneath this extra hardware that's in the machine. Interestingly, there's a Z80 processor right here in the front. It seems to have 640K of RAM and two more banks, which are unpopulated. I don't think you can really put, I guess you could technically put up to a meg on an XT, but this does appear to be a 4.77 megahertz XT. I think it actually is an 8 megahertz machine, but there's a button on here that says speed, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Unfortunately, I think the software that controls all the extra hardware was lost with this machine. It does actually have an MFM hard drive in it, and I believe this is the one that was working when I first got it. I actually have two of these machines. I was able to get two of them. The other one's not working now, but the hard drive worked for about a week, and then it failed. But it seems to have had some software on there, just regular DOS and some terminal software to dial out to BBSs, and somebody was actually downloading stuff off of BBSs on it with the built-in modem. I'm not sure what speed the modem is, but it does appear to have been working. If you look in the back, there's a couple of interesting ports. There's line 1 and line 2, so I think it actually has two modems, and then there's another labeled communication module, and then it has just a regular serial and parallel port on it as well. It also has, and I'll put the machine back together here in a moment after I show the inside some more, just three regular 8-bit slots inside. And it does have a Compaq CGA card, one of the standard ones that would be like in a Compaq Deskpro or a Compaq Portable or a Deskpro. I guess it's really more like the Portable because it has the external cable that plugs into the internal monitor, which also behaves exactly like a Compaq Deskpro. I think it's the Control Alt minus and plus. You can change it from monochrome to the CGA character set, and it does respond to that just like a Compaq Portable would. Anyway, I'll lift this up real quick and show the inside. As you can see, it's very strange. There's a board on here that says Hayes, which I think is just a modem. It's, I'm guessing, 2400 baud, maybe 9600. I really don't know. There's probably a model number on here. It's labeled 1986. It may even be 1200 baud now that I'm thinking about it. But I'm not sure what the purpose of this machine was, and it certainly seems to be pretty expensive hardware for its day. If you look in here, I don't know if these are also a couple more modems built in. There are what appear to be 3 ports on here, so I think that actually means there are 3 modems in this machine, but I don't know if all of that hardware is exposed to DOS. It doesn't seem to see anything other than one that I remember, and it shows the serial port. You also see all these relays on here. When you start hitting all these strange extra buttons that are on the front of this machine, you can actually hear relays click, and the keyboard as well has some extra buttons on it, which I think corresponded to proprietary software for this machine. But as I stated, we don't unfortunately have any of that software, but the machine does work like an old XT basically in its current configuration. And even though the MFM hard drive failed, I'm actually going to include the cables and the original card with it because the card's still good. I was able to find out, just like the original Portable, I think it only works on a 10 or a 20 meg hard drive. And the hard drive that's in here is an old Rodyme RO352, which I think was a 20 meg drive. If I remember correctly, I'll look that up and post it in the listing for sure. But just wanted to show the inside of it because it's strange. I put a new battery in here as well. And if you notice, this machine was obviously designed to make sure that the power wouldn't take it out, because right here is a 5.5 volt 1 farad capacitor, which is just massive. And I'm certain that thing just stayed charged up to make sure if the power went off for, probably even a few minutes, this thing would stay active. So that's a pretty interesting battery backup I've never really seen in a machine like this before. There's also a couple of interesting, look like some PAL chips that say Compaq Telecommunications Corp on them that are on the board, which I'm sure are custom to this machine as well. And, a couple of other large ICs. I think that might be the floppy controller chip. And there's the 8272, which I think is the keyboard controller. And underneath this board, it's hard to see here, but there's what appears to be some other RAM under here. And I'm guessing the 8088 or the 8086 CPU, it may be an AMD or an Intel, I don't know, is probably under this board, but I really don't want to take it out of here because the machine's working. It's an old, really strange and rare computer, so I just wanted to take it apart so everybody could see the inside of it, just to get a feel for how odd this machine really is. I'm going to go ahead and stop and put the machine back together and boot it up. One other thing I'll mention too is I actually have been building the low-tech compact flash ISA adapters and selling those on eBay under different listings. And I've been fixing a lot of these older machines, like these XT style machines, and putting that card in. And I put one in this one too, and I'm going to include that along with a 4 gig compact flash card. I'll have DOS. I think it's DOS 5 I put on this one because there's really no reason to put DOS 6 on a machine this old. But put that on there, and also have a couple games that I put in a directory in there, just some older CGA games that you can play. But I'll go ahead and stop, put it back together, and show you guys this guy in operation. Okay, I got the machine mostly back together. It's back together enough to turn it on, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Power switches here on the back. And you can see all the LEDs light up on the front like in a test pattern. There's also a LED down here, which is green when it first comes on, which I assume means all is good. Machine comes up and does its post, and if you're familiar with the Compaqs, it's not throwing any error codes or anything for the hardware, so it all seems to be happy. And in a minute, the low-tech adapter will pick up, and you'll see the BIOS screen pick up. And it's trying to hit the floppies right now. There's nothing in there. As you can see, it finds the SanDisk, and I've got two partitions on there, two 2 gig partitions roughly on this 4 gig drive, and there's drive C coming up. And I'll go ahead and show the keyboard here. As you can see, definitely an XT, so we got the 10 function keys instead of 12. And here's all the weird buttons: calendar, phone directory, email, datacom, calc, notes, menu, setup, and computer. And also, once it boots, the LED turns red, which I think what that means is it's not finding any of the custom code. And if you look up in here as well, there's several buttons right next to the monitor between the floppies that seem to have some custom functions: speed, S1 through S8, phone, hold, mute, speaker, last. So I'm thinking that this machine probably was used for someone to control like a small phone system, maybe a call router or maybe a secretary or something like that would use this for kind of a more advanced system, and all the software would have been built in to be kind of an all-in-one computer. It basically is just an IBM XT clone, like the original Compaq portable. Seems to be roughly the same speed. I have I think SI, well, actually I think I have it in the path, but I ran Norton System Index on it, and it comes up and shows 2 serial ports, 1 parallel, 4 drives, which it does actually have 4 AB floppies, which are both working fine. And you see right there it comes up 1.0, which is 4.77 megahertz XT. Hitting the speed button and then running it again has no effect. So I think whatever software that was plumbed into is not there. So when I ran the diagnostics on it, even though it seems to be kind of like a Compaq portable in the way it's designed, it has the monitor, and I think if you hit Control Alt minus and plus, or what was it? I'll have to use a Control Shift minus. Well, I forget the command, but there's a way, by default, these monitors come up in monochrome mode, and it shows CGA. It's kind of a weird hybrid card that Compaq built, but the machine comes up and in monochrome graphic mode, and you can switch it to CGA, or to monochrome text mode, and you can switch it to a CGA character set as well for compatibility. But anyway, that machine will do this. So let me go over to the games directory, and if you do a directory in here, you'll notice the first time it runs with a 2 gig partition on a machine this slow, it actually takes it a little while to come back. It's thinking. Takes pretty good amount of time the first time it does it. Now, as long as you don't save any files, as you can see, there's roughly 2 gigs of space free. And if I do a directory again, it'll scroll by. There we go, it does it fairly quickly. As long as you don't add any files, it doesn't have to recalculate the free space. If you run a game and it saves something, or if you reboot, obviously it's going to do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and load up a Wheel of Fortune. I just put some of these old kind of shareware, abandonware type of games on here just so you can see it working. There may be a few that I copied in there that won't work on this machine just because it's too slow or it requires CGA or something like that. But here's Wheel of Fortune. Come up in CGA. Okay, well, anyway, I think it. So no test. There it goes into the game. It draws pretty slow. I guess it's enumerating the wheel now. Okay. Press the space bar. And spin. Well, anyway, I'm gonna reboot it here. I have to power it off. Doesn't like Control Delete. Well, anyway, let me. You get the idea. The machine's working fine. The floppy drives both work. I'm just not using them now because I have it booting off the internal hard drive, and there's where the MFM drive lives. But as I stated, it's not working. I still got the back of the machine off here, and I'll put that back on in a minute and show you what it looks like completed. But here's the slot where the cards are. As you can see, there's the CGA card. It's a Compaq CGA card. It's very similar to what's in the portable. And also down in here is the Compaq Flash ISA card. And then I have another little card that's connected to an IDE cable, which just has the 4 gig SanDisk card. And there it is booting off the hard drive right now. It's kind of nice the way this card works out. You can take it out of here and put it on another machine and just copy files over to it. You don't have to move anything through floppies or anything like that. And there's the CGA port. You can plug a CGA monitor in there or actually plug it out to a video output. If any of you guys have played any of the old games, you know there's some fancy ways that they can generate color on a composite television. Some of the Sierra games would do that, and some of the other ones would support it as well. Also, here's the original MFM controller card and the cables for it as well, which are over here. I just have that sitting here, and I'm going to include it with the machine just so you have everything that came in it. Like I stated, the MFM drive failed. I left it inside of the machine. I didn't want to take it out of there because I figured it was safer to ship it in there, but I just took this and the cables out to get it out of the way in here. And inside there's the Compaq flash card, and this isn't the one that's coming in it, but it's similar to what's inside of it. And this card's in there actually performing the IDE interface for the Compaq flash adapter that's plugged in, and it boots right up into it. It's a very fancy keyboard. It shows GTE exec set. Oh yeah, now that I've got it sitting on its side here, I can show you the model number as well. It's a little difficult to see. Nope, that's not the right place. It's on this side. Right there. Model TC2500, Compaq TeleCommunication Corporation, which I'm not really familiar with them other than I know this is some strange Compaq machine. 2 360K floppies, 640K of RAM. Very interesting hardware. If you notice, I don't know if you can hear this, but his calendar, email, you can hear relays clicking inside the machine. Unfortunately, none of these buttons really seem to do anything anymore. Hopefully someone out there has got the right software for this thing. I'm going to go ahead and stop one more time, and I'll put the case together completely just to show what it looks like all together. But I'm going to ship it like this with the card. It's going to have some software, and like I said, you go. There's a partition there, and there's also a second partition on there with drive D, which is just empty. And there's no files on it, but I'll just make a directory here real quick, and then do the directory. It'll show the free space on it. It takes a few seconds to calculate. Takes it more than a few seconds. And like I said, the reason it's taken so long for it to do this is, you know, back in the 80s, you wouldn't have had much of a 2 gig partition in DOS, even though DOS supported it, it was uncommon to have more than maybe a 40 meg hard drive, which wouldn't have taken this long. And the second time you do it, and like I said, if you don't create any files, it goes pretty quickly. So as long as you avoid doing directories, you won't have to pay the penalty for that. But it's really just kind of a side effect of having such large partitions. You could actually go in with fdisk and just create smaller partitions, maybe create something like a 200 meg partition or something on the drive instead of a 2 gig one. I just did that so you'd have the maximum space, but that would make it quite a bit faster to do a directory with something smaller than 2 gigs. But anyway, there's nothing wrong. It's just taking a long time to calculate the free space because the machine's running at roughly 5 megahertz. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop now and put it back together and show you what it looks like completed. Okay, I've got the machine all back together now, and I've got the keyboard taken off the stand there just to show you what it looks like. But here's the back of the case. Actually looks pretty good cosmetically. The door there is actually where you can access the Compaq flash card and other things. You can just pop it off, and inside there you can see it's a Compaq flash card, but it just slides in and snaps on. And the outside of the shell is pretty good shape. There's only one little spot that's discolored there, and another little mark there that I couldn't get off, but otherwise it's in really good shape. So we'll have this guy up on eBay. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Don't know too much more about it other than that. I know I can't find another one on the internet. There's very, very little information about these machines, and hopefully someone out there's got the right software to make all of these advanced functions work. One other thing I'll mention too that's kind of odd is there's another power switch on the side here, and I suspect that powers some of the internal components. It doesn't seem to have any effect on the machine. Still have the relays work. Maybe turn it off and back on. Even if that switch is off, it does seem to still work, so I'm not sure what that does. I did hear it make a little noise when I turned it on, but anyway, works pretty much as a PC at this point, but certainly an interesting machine and probably a good one for collectors out there, and it's in really, really good shape. I do have another one of these machines, and it's in equally good shape, but unfortunately it seems like something happened with the power supply. It stopped coming up, and it just clicks now, so I'm going to have to take it apart and look into it a little bit further, but this one's up and ready to go. I've had it running for several months. I've actually owned this machine for quite a number of years, and it's just one I'm ready to let go of in my collection now. Thank you very much. Take care.